Hi. I am a real big fan of like Dreamcast, fan casts, that kind of video. I love like Nando V movies, his videos, and I thought that would be something that I would love to do with my book, The Dinner Party, which is coming out November 4th. Shameless plug. I thought that I would like cast it, and like say who I think could play the different characters in the book, and that might be fun. Get people to understand who the characters are a bit, and just kind of put some ideas in people's head about the book. So first of all, I want to talk about the fact that like the the age range from these characters tends to be some of them are as young as 14 up to 34. Um, in the it's a 20-year period depicted, so um, not all the characters go that young, and a couple of characters don't go quite that old. But you know that's the range. So understand that, but also understand that like due to some of like the this person's perfect, they may not be perfect in age right now. Um, they may, but like I just thought they would be good fit. So first, I want to start with my main character. The protagonist of the book is Greg. Greg is hard. This was a hard one for me to figure out who I wanted to do this character because he needs to be a combination of you could believe him as a loser, um, and somebody who has a hard time getting women to be interested in him, and then you also have to be able to believe that you know with the right confidence and just a change of attitude and slight change of personality, he could be able to get with all the women that are in the rest of the book slash movie or TV. I actually think this would translate to a TV series, like a mini series, better than a movie. Anyway, that's an aside. So Greg needs to be that, like, you need to look at him visually and be like, oh, I can. He absolutely looks wise could get with any of the women in the cast, be in a relationship with any of the women in the cast. But you also have to look at him and be like, he has to be able to play a loser. And what I think the typical sense would be, oh, we'll go get some stud and make them a loser. And I think that getting somebody who is handsome in an but also able to play average without like being like, oh, let's like add glasses and a ponytail and like the opposite of the we don't need somebody who is the male version of the 90s teen movie trope. So for this character, I thought Jaron Lewison, I think is how you pronounce his name, from Never Have I Ever would be perfect to play Greg. He kind of has walked both of those lines in Never Have I Ever. I haven't seen him in much else, but so he's a little old to play the 14 side. That's going to be part of the problem with, because he's the main character. He's going to be 14 and he's going to be 34 in the visual, in the book, he is 30, 14, 34. So casting someone that can play that span is borderline impossible. So I think Jaron Lewison's a great pick for that. The main love interest that we're going to follow through most of the bulk of the book is a character called Maggie. Um, Maggie is younger than Greg, but Maggie is she's kind of she matches him energetically in a lot of ways, but she's also like she is that like forceful youth kind of to him like like she's a good inspiration or a good motivator in a lot of ways to him. So like she's like, oh, let's go do this. Let's she's the one who's kind of like you know let's go do these things. And when Greg's instinct might not be to go do something adventurous or fun, like that's who Maggie is as a character. And Maggie, I think I found the perfect person for that, which is Virginia Gardner. I saw her in The Fall not the season, but the movie, The Fall, um, maybe a month or so, 3 weeks ago, something like that. I watched The Fall, and while I was watching it, I was like, oh, she like looks like what I kind of think um, Maggie should look like in that movie. But also, you know, she is she in that movie. She's the one who's kind of like, let's go do this. Let's go. Come on. Like she's kind of that fun, almost a fun nag. That's what I want to say. It's like a fun, like peer pressure kind of person, which comes with the youth side of things for Maggie. So next is Fiona, who is Greg's little sister. This one, I actually think the person I cast might technically be older than Jaren Lewison. Fiona is kind of the voice of reason sometimes to Greg. And if my sister is watching, in that way, Fiona's not based on you, but in a lot of other ways, Fiona is based on you. So um, I did think about my sister when I was writing the character, and I did think about my sister when I was figuring out who could play her because I know that if I pick the wrong person, my sister will be pissed. So I think that a good person to play Fiona would be Maud Apatow. Um, I've seen her in a bunch of stuff recently. I know she was in Euphoria, although I've never watched more than the first episode of Euphoria. But I saw her in um, Days Like That. Was what's the name of that movie? One of those days. One of them days. Um, she was kind of like in that movie. She felt a lot like my sister. The way the actual person is my sister. So Fiona, um, I think it would be a natural extension for that. All right, next uh, is Simon, who is Greg's um, adult best friend. Um, that sounds weird. When he's an adult, he's the best friend. Because like I said, we see Greg as a 14-year-old, like a 17-year-old, and then in his 20s and 30s. And so Simon is the friend that he makes as an adult who is his best friend. And Simon, I think, Simon's based on like the character is, no, I don't want to say based. Simon is, I wrote a lot of Simon to be like my own best friend, and so I a lot of the characteristics of like of that like effortless charm, um, and um, the ability to just kind of like be at ease in any room is kind of where I think that Simon fits. And I thought that for this one, Brandon Michael Hall, I've seen him in a couple of things. I forget what the name of the show was. He was on with the woman from Glee. He was the mayor. I will, I'll write it down on the screen right now. But yeah, he I think plays that like effortless charm really well for Simon, and I think that's what we need from a Simon in this adaptation that probably is never going to happen. Um, yeah. All right. So then there are Greg's two high school friends. We do see them more as adults, and we do see them then we see them in the high school scene. So I did cast not younger guys. They're not too old, but I didn't go too young. The thought being that like they do have to also play, a wide range age wise. All right, so I went with for the character of Rich, who is one of the two best friends. I went with Austin Abrams. So this character is he's an amalgamation of several friends that I have, and so I needed somebody who could be a really nice, comforting friend, and somebody who could be a bit of a bad influence in some ways. And I think that I've seen Austin Abrams in a couple things where he rides that line between like charming and deviant well. So I think he would be great for the character of Rich. For Greg's other high school friend Jim, I think that Jim is a character who kind of pretty quickly in the story knows exactly who he is. He's a somewhat moral authority, not meaning that he is like preachy, but meaning that he knows his morality immediately, and he's there. and in that morality pretty quickly. The first scene with him is, they're very young, and he's maybe a little less of that. But by the second scene with Jim, we understand that Jim, knows who he is, knows what he wants, and knows what he thinks is right, and he follows those things. And so for that one, I really thought that a good actor to play this would be Hunter Doohan. Now, I've only seen him in Your Honor, where he plays Bryan Cranston's son. I don't know if you're familiar with that show or not. In the first scenes, we see him accidentally kill the son of a mobster in a car accident or a motorcycle accident, car accident, and the other guy was on the motorcycle, and and from there we see his moral compass leading him in ways that are kind of antithesis to what is best for him. And so I think that Jim is a character like that. Jim's a character who will do what's right rather than what is not even, I don't even want to say expedient. He'll do what's right over what is most convenient or natural for him. And then the third high school friend is Robin. Robin is a character who I think, similarly to Fiona, is kind of the voice of reason at some points, but I also think that Robin is a character who is not going to pull punches when she says things. She's going to she has the best of intentions for Greg, and she's really and she's right in most of those things, but she's not going to sugarcoat as much. And the person I think would be best for this is having a moment right now, and but that's I have not seen the movie that she's having the moment for, but I thought Chase Infinity would be a good pick for this one because I saw her in another TV show with another law TV show. Saw her in Presumed Innocent, and there is, first of all, able to play the high school side of things, which this character is in high school for the beginning of the book, and also has that like compassion while also not fucking around. Like I think there's a good mix of like tenderness with this is what we need to get done in that character, and all the characters on that show basically kind of have that going on, but she would be perfect for Robin, I think. So now let's get to so in the dinner party book there is a section called the dinner party. It's the titular event of the book. And in that we see a lot of Greg's ex-girlfriends, and so for casting Greg's ex-girlfriends, that was really where I thought, like, this is the fun part. This is the part where people are going to be like, ooh, I wonder, when they're reading, I wonder who would play. And I think, if I'm being honest, the one that everyone that reads the book is probably going to be wondering about most is Valentina. Valentina was a hard pick. I picked one person, and my wife was like, no, that's not correct. I won't say who it was. And mostly because I think that she thought I cast wrong racially, because she's like, I don't see her as being Asian, which she's like, you didn't write her Asian, so I'd picked a person that I thought would be great for it, but upon reflection, I actually think I picked a better option now, because Valentina is she's probably the one that's going to be the most controversial, and uh, she is the one who is not only not going to sugarcoat it, but like is aware that she comes across like an asshole in a lot of the scenes and doesn't give a shit that she does, and she just and she resents everything else. She resents everybody. She has a lot of attitude, and I thought So like to give it some but there are scenes, there are flashback scenes and things that will be showing a more fun side of her, but it's the same, that same, like the the resentment and the like attitude are there in fun ways at first, and then those same attributes become negative um, in the present day of the dinner party. And so I think that the perfect person to play this, except that like age, like they're not the same age as any of the other actors I cast. Other than that one factor, this person is perfect because they've already basically played the character. Summer Bashil. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. Uh, on The Magicians, she played Margot, and Margot and Valentina are very similar. Now, Margot, I think, has a better moral compass than Valentina, but very, very similar in that attitude and tone. April is the hostess of the dinner party. She is one of Greg's exes who is a little more ambiguous in her feelings towards him, I suppose we could say, because I don't want to give too much away. April, I think, I saw the first episode of this when I thought that she'd be perfect, and I just last night watched more episodes and was like, oh, not what the same thing. But I watched The Rainmaker, and I think Robin Cara, I don't know how you pronounce the last name. I'm sorry. I think she would be great as April because there is like a charm to the character of April. April needs to be kind of, you don't know where April's head is at the whole time, um, but she never comes across as a villain, but you don't but she's just harder to read. And I thought Robin Cara was good in The Rainmaker. She plays a domestic violence victim who is you know playing it to be the first episode. It's obvious that that's the case, but it is a little more natural. It's a little less like when I say natural, I mean like you're getting to see her in her element a bit more. So I think that that fits more in the tone. Sherry, Sherry is a character that is Greg's longest term relationship before Maggie. Sherry is someone he met in college, and they dated for a few years. Um, they're they were kind of each other's firsts. There's a little more innocence to Sherry as we see her throughout it. There's a wisdom to Sherry, but there's innocence to Sherry that I think really works. Like in a sense of like she's one of the oldest characters, but we see her at the youngest, or we see her not at the youngest, but as one of the youngest, which is like something I thought kind of fit with. So the one thing I've seen this actress in that I thought would be a good Sherry is so I picked Olivia Holt. In Cruel Summer, season one, I saw her, and I think that there is a stunted development in that character that not that Sherry has stunted development, but we see her more in flashback than we do in the dinner party. So we're seeing a combination of these two, of this innocent person in the moment versus the like, 10 years later, I recognize that I was naive and, Kimberly's more incidental in how things play out than malicious. They're more, both with the way Greg treats her, but like everything is just there's a bit of she thinks he was being malicious and he himself doesn't see it that way. She is very hurt by everything that kind of transpired prior to the actual, in their relationship. Um, but it not hurt in a vengeful way necessarily, hurt in a more um, lack of understanding why it happened kind of way. And um, for that one, I thought I watched the map that led to you a couple weeks ago, and Madeline Klein has that same thing at the end, second half of that movie or whatever it is. Like she in that movie, spoiler alert for the map that leads to you, but she has this great couple weeks with this guy, and then he just ditches her with no explanation. And that's kind of where I think Kimberly feels she's at. And so I thought that that would be a good um, actress to play her. And you know, I think Madeline Klein did a good job, and that she'd be able to you know play Kimberly's nuance well. All right, so the character of Danielle is Greg's high school crush slash love slash romantic interest. Um, this is a hard one. They're not. She's not at the dinner party. I kind of forgot to mention her at the beginning of the video. Um, this is a hard one because I need somebody who can play high school and can also play a maturity beyond high school, like much more mature. And that was really tough. And so I don't know that this person. I think this person might be slightly unbelievable as a high school student, but not wildly so. And I picked Aaliyah Chanel Scott from uh, Sex Lives of College Girls. I think if you watch that show, there is like this innocence in a lot of ways to the character while also having like leadership qualities. She balances it really well, and I think that she would like nail the character as long as we could make her believable as a high school student because she's a college student in that show, and that show's been airing for 5 years or whatever. So like, so none of these characters are high school age. None of these actors or actresses are high school age. So it's like it's tough, and I don't know. I'm not watching enough stuff where I would be like, that's a good high school, and and I am uncomfortable with casting opposite Greg, somebody who is significantly younger, who actually could play a high school student, where Greg is going to be a 34-year-old at the end of the story. So like, just let's try to leave age out of it, I suppose. But I think that Aaliyah Chanel Scott would be an excellent Danielle, who is a small. It's a small part. It's a smaller piece of the air, like of the story, in you know page count, but really vital to the story in a lot of ways.